right, we're back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 109. We're back, but my beard is not back. It's gone. So you're subjected to this for the next 2 weeks or
Hey,
so.
can you do me a favor?
Yeah?
Can you go find it? Because
Oh, I can't.
you need it. It's an important part of the show.
Yeah. But anyway, episode 109, and we're here this week to watch another brand new movie. This one, The Black Phone, just released, starring Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke, third appearance on the channel. Also, Tyler, it's directed by the dude who directed Sinister. So
Really?
that made sense to me. Yeah, afterwards I was like, oh, okay. So yeah.
Is he the cop? Is that why he's in both?
Yeah. The officer so and so or whatever they call him in that movie. Yeah, he's in this too, and I was like, oh, okay. So
I was thinking maybe he was the director, and that's why he's in both. But
oh no, he's just an actor. Also, apparently, maybe homophobic. Just learned that yesterday. So shout out to him.
what?
I was, yeah,
Doing research, and he just happened to see it.
No, I came across a thing where they talked about how in the It Chapter 2, him and Eddie or Bill Hader, whichever Bill Hader played, were supposed to kiss, but that dude was like, no. He was like, I don't kiss men or whatever. And so that it didn't happen. And then like there's interviews of him saying stuff, and I was like, oh, all right. But anyway, shout out to he's back. He's here. Yeah, anyway. So little let's go back to last week, shall we? We watched The Black Phone, not Black Phone. Fuck. I'm already fucking it up. We watched Dashcam, which is another brand new movie, another Blumhouse movie. This movie is also a Blumhouse feature film. And me and Tyler loved it. And then I went and was like, oh, I wonder what other people think about this. And I looked it up, and everything I saw was like, this is terrible. One of the videos I saw was like, well, we found the worst movie of the year. And I was like, geez, people really didn't like it. Most of people's main complaint was the main character. It seemed like they did not want to look at the movie as a whole. Just with the main character, they were like, which is kind of, I told Tyler when we did that episode, was kind of my fear about picking a character like that for some reason to make the main lead. But they didn't want to look at the movie as a whole, and so they just gave up on it from the start. So take that, we got that movie everyone loved, or everyone hated, and we loved, and then we got a movie, The Black Phone, which is getting like critical acclaim. We'll get to the budget and everything later. It's making a bunch of money. Everyone loves it and stuff. I thought this movie kind of sucked. Yeah, I was excited for it. Maybe that's why, because Dashcam, we went into it being like, this is going to suck. And then we really liked it. In this movie, I was kind of excited to watch it. But I didn't think it was, very good. So I'm the complete opposite of what people were thinking the last couple weeks. I'm gonna give it a 4. No, I'm a 4.5. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Oh shit, being generous today.
I'm being generous. I'm gonna give it an extra little half point. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I don't think I hated it as much as Tyler's gonna give it, because Tyler, spoiler, messaged me and was like, "This is a fucking piece of shit movie." So, yeah, so I'm going to give it a 4.5. Tyler, what are you going to give this one?
I'm going to give this movie a 2.
Oh, that's half of mine and minus a half. Wait, yeah.
That's more than half of yours.
Yeah, I could have just said that.
Or less than half of yours.
Math.
The first, 40 minutes are nothing. And even when you think it's picking up, it's still just nothing. Nothing's ever explained. They could have focused on all this other shit, but they didn't.
I will.
And the dude wearing a mask. Hey, spoiler warning right now. Guy wears a mask for no reason. His face is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with him.
Where's my fucking... There it is. Uh, yeah, one of my main complaints is I feel like they completely wasted Ethan Hawke's character in this. Like, he does nothing. It's yeah. I will say, this movie, when I was looking it up, so a couple weeks ago we were talking about like Joe Hill and Stephen King, and I was like, I swear there was a movie that we watched that was like a Joe Hill movie. This movie is a Joe Hill book,
Yeah.
and so I think I had heard that, and that's what I was talking about there. So
I think I told you on one of the things. I don't remember what it was.
maybe,
One of the
yeah.
casts.
So it's a Joe Hill book, Stephen King's son, and there's a lot of aspects in this movie that remind me of Stephen King. Mostly the spoiler, the girl who has just powers that they never really go into very much.
Well, they kind of go into it. I got a theory on that.
Okay.
And that's would have been cool if they would have pursued that a little.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
No.
They didn't do it at all.
And
the whole kids calling
it was pretty...
reminded me of it. I don't know why. Like, imagine if it, but the kids were the loser gang was dead.
Well, it reminded me of Sinister, with the stupid dead kids. So
Yeah. I mean,
but also another thing that reminded me of Stephen King, which then when I found out it was Joe Hill, I was like, oh, which is funny because it doesn't happen in the book, but the brother's character, who is Deputy So and So, his character reminded me a lot of fucking Scatman Weathers or whatever that dude's name is from The Shining, who like spins the whole... Every now and then he'll just check in on him, and he'll be like, oh, and then he goes back to the hotel, and stuff happens to him. But that character reminded me of him in this movie, where it's just nothing. Like, that brother character shouldn't have honestly even been in the movie.
Yeah, his name is Max. So,
yeah,
I think
it felt like I've never read the book, so maybe that character's in the book as well. There's a good chance that he has a more prominent role in the book. But if he's not in the book, it feels like the dude who directed Sinister just wanted to get his guy in there, and so he's like, I'm gonna give him this wacky brother role, But anyway, hey, spoiler warning for... Even though we already spoiled, but I said spoiler before that. But spoiler warning for the Black Phone. We're gonna ruin everything about it, so you've been warned.
not much to ruin, guys. Just so you know.
Yeah, there's not, like, I don't know. It's just so, like, I don't know. Let's just start at the beginning. All right, we'll just...
You should let me lead this one, and then we'll be done in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah,
because I can tell you everything of note that happened in this movie.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be quick.
Yeah. So first off, this movie's not even in modern day, which caught me. I thought we start off and we're in 1978, and I was like, oh, we're gonna do a little flashback, but no, we're in 1978 the whole time. Which I remember when we talked about the Black Phone, Tyler was like, yeah, it's funny that nowadays, like, a telephone is seen as like a scary object, it never... But then it ends up being that we're not in nowadays. We're back when this would be normal. But anyway, we're at a baseball game. Our main character, who it took me until maybe 70% of the movie to figure out what the fuck his name was, because I swear someone called him Ben or Finn at one point, and then someone called him Benny is what I thought it said. And then his name is Finney. Who's naming their kid Finney? Who the fuck's name? Is that like a fucking Polish name I don't know of or something?
Is like Phineas a popular name?
I know Phineas, yeah, but this kid, Finney.
Isn't that fucking what's her name's brother's name? Billy, whatever her name is. Billy
Eilish? Maybe.
Her brother's name's Phineas or something like that.
I just know Phineas and Ferb, and so I know Phineas, but
Okay. I almost called her Billy Idol.
shout out Billy Idol. Um. Anyway, yeah, our main character Finney is pitching. He's got some girlies looking on because he's doing pretty good, and he's pitching to this one kid who I don't remember.
Bruce.
Bruce, is that his name? All right, I was about to
Because
say.
he's
I
a
don't
little
remember.
Asian kid, and they call him Bruce. And the only thing I could think of the whole time was Bruce Lee, because he died in '79. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Am I racist?
Well,
Is this intentional? Like, what is going on?"
I don't
His
know.
last name is Yakamoto, by the way. Don't ask me why I know this.
Bruce Yakamoto. Well,
Yeah,
isn't it like I swear there's a thing where like people who I don't know if he was born in Japan or wherever but it's a thing where like people who were born in Japan and then come to the U.S. just like pick their own name, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna be Richard now. They just changed their name. So I don't know, maybe that. But yeah, he might have been named after Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee, this was like peak Bruce Lee time. So,
Yeah.
Um,
And they talk about Enter the Dragon later in the movie.
they do. Yeah, I was going to say, don't
So-
they even talk about, but it's not him he's talking to. It's the Robin,
Yeah.
the cool Mexican kid that we'll get into later. The best part of the movie, who isn't in it very long. So yeah, he's pitching. He's probably about to strike this kid out, it looks like. And then the kid ends up hitting a home run over his fucking head. And so the dude's all sad because the girl that we'll learn he has a crush on, like, saw it. And she goes walking off with her friends and shit.
Are you talking about Donna?
How do you know these fucking names?
I don't know. I'm so fucking bad
You
with
never
names.
remember names.
I'm telling you. I have no clue. I mean, I did watch it like 2 hours ago or an hour ago, but
That doesn't
Fuck
matter.
me.
Usually you're...
yeah, this isn't good.
Yeah. So yeah, I will say though, you think it's gonna be like, or at least I did. I thought it was gonna be a thing where like then Bruce was gonna be like, haha, fucking loser, But no, he goes over and he's like, your fucking arm is mint. You almost had me, And
Pause a second right here
Yeah.
because that mint shit came out like 2 years ago.
uh-huh.
There's no way it was around in 1979, and that completely ruined the whole fucking movie for me.
Dude, the mint thing, and it's like you'll learn later that whatever these kids say, or maybe it was just Bruce, but Bruce ended up using that "your arm is mint" thing, and later the kid might get a phone call from him from somewhere, and the kid just keeps saying "your arm is mint, your arm is mint." He just keeps repeating it.
That was meant because when you're watching that, you have no clue what's going on right then.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be like a secret code that only he would know. So it couldn't have been like the evil man, like,
Yeah.
persuading. I get what they were trying to do with it, but they just kept saying the arm is mint. Arm is mint. This movie was not mint.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So baseball game's over. Everyone goes home. We get a nice little. What is the song they're playing? It's a good song. Fuck, I don't remember it.
I don't know that one. The other one, Fox on the Run, stood out to me,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure what this song is.
I don't remember what song it's by, but it's good. It's a nice little montage of like Bruce riding on his bike and he's driving, smiling, like looking at everybody. We get a little clip of young Finney, or not young Finney. This is Finney's age. I keep thinking we're in a flashback, even though we're not. We get a glimpse of Finney doing a Sandlot 2 impression, where he's shooting off a rocket at the baseball field. Shout out to Sandlot 2. It's a good movie. Sandlot 2 is the one where he shoots the rocket, right? I'm counting on you, Tyler.
Sandlot 2. I watched the first Sandlot. I didn't watch Sandlot 2.
Yeah, what? Sandlot 2, yeah, I think the kid, like, shoots a rocket. His dad's, like, works for NASA, and he shoots a rocket, and it goes into the other yard. And that's what they're trying to get back the whole time. It's a good movie. It's not as good as the first one, but it's all right. There's also one where they bring in, like, a girl team, and the boys play against the girl team. And I can't remember if that's the second one as well, or if they even made a third one. But anyway. Kids having a blast, driving around. And then we see a fucking black van come around the corner. And it goes all slow, and then we cut to credits. And the credits is just a bunch of stills of like missing kids and a bunch of cops looking out in the woods and all this shit and this creepy music playing. Yeah, and that morning at breakfast we get we do see like a little missing poster thing for Bruce, and it turned out that kid got fucking nabbed. As they're at breakfast, also we're introduced to the dad, who once again kind of a nothing character in this movie. Who, I mean, they build some onto his character later, but this beginning part, it just seems like he's like hungover, and every noise they make that's a little too loud, he like looks up at him and he's like, "You gonna be that fucking loud, you know?" And it took me a while to recognize him because he looks completely different, and he's got this big beard and like this mullet and shit. But after a while, I was like, I know this fucking guy. He was in a movie where he plays one of the most frustrating characters ever put on film. He was Private Upham in Saving Private Ryan, Tyler.
I don't even know who that is.
Upham was the one who could speak German and shit. And he's the one that never kills anybody.
Oh,
and he's the one, on the stairs when the guy's, no, getting stabbed and shit. Yeah. God, Upham was such a frustrating character. He just never did anything.
I like how you go in detail about how I never remember anyone's fucking name. And then you go, he was Sergeant Upham. And
yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know
Upham.
I'm
supposed to remember
Funny that, like, besides Ryan, he's the one that they say his name the most. Like, everyone's like, Upham. And then even the German guy at the end is like, Upham. And then he shoots him. But anyway, yeah, so shout out to Private Upham. They leave breakfast eventually. They walk to school. We get a fight between Robin, who's wearing a sweet-ass cut-off Cheech and Chong shirt and a bandana. And he's fighting this big-ass kid named Moose, who Moose calls him some racial terms involving beans. And the Robin just like... First off, Robin knows Kung Fu, and maybe that's because he watches fucking Bruce Lee movies or whatever, but he throws like high kicks and shit and gets the kid on his back and just beats the shit out of him. And yeah, that's that's pretty cool.
Little guy too. He's not like big.
Yeah, but
but he's like kicking this dude's ass who's like 3 times his size.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about this. This doesn't seem right.
Hey man, UFC. I don't know. They get to school and fucking I'm trying to think of it. Finn's little sister, who's walking with him, starts talking to him about the grabber, who is grabbing all these kids and kidnapping all these kids and shit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but does she say something here where there's a legend that like if you say his name, he'll like kidnap you or whatever?
I don't know. The brother is like, don't say his name.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a legend or anything.
I don't know. Either way, as they're talking about it, we see the black van go by in the background. They go to school. We get a little scene of the Finn in class making eyes at or staring at that girl he has the crush on, and then she like looks over and he looks away. This little fucking love story type thing, if you could even call it that, really doesn't matter. I only bring it up because the end of the movie is kind of like a full circle, or not full circle moment, but like a, spoiler, he has his confidence, I guess you could say. But yeah, so class gets out, the kid goes in the hallway, and then a group of bullies follows him, and they're calling after him, and he goes in the bathroom, but they know he's in there, so they're like, come on out. And he comes out, and he's about to get bullied by a fucking ginger kid. Like, I was like, how are you going to get picked on by this kid, But they're about to beat the shit out of them until Robin from earlier walks in the bathroom. And he's like, what's going on? And they're like, nothing. And he's like, oh, okay. And as he's like wrapping up his bloody knuckles from kicking the shit out of that big kid, he's like, hey, if you fuck with Finn, you fuck with me, And so they're like, oh, okay. And so they leave. Turns out Robin and Finn are pretty cool. and Robin is like, hey, one of these days you're gonna have to fight for yourself.
Actually, a question.
Yeah.
Did you get a little bit of a gay vibe from these two?
Not really.
Really? I don't know if it's just like when the boys are about to jump and they're like, look at this fag or something. His words, not mine. Don't cancel.
I almost forgot that he said that in the movie, and I was like, Jesus, Tyler.
And like when they're talking, it feels like Finn is just like staring into his eyes, and he's like, "Can you come over?" And Finn's like, "Yeah, math again." Like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird little scene. I'm just asking. I don't know if it was intentional or what the deal was.
Maybe it's because the scene before that he was staring at that girl. So I mean, he could swing both ways. Who knows? But
I'm not here to judge.
But no, I never got that opinion.
I got very strange vibes from Ethan Hawke in this movie too.
There's some touchy feely going on, maybe. So yeah, as they're in the bathroom, the Robin mentions, "Hey, I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre last week." And the kid's like, "Oh man, I want to see it. My dad won't let me see it." And the dude's like, "It's the fucking best movie ever made." And I was like, "Oh shit, Texas Chainsaw, shout out." Which I messaged Tyler that they were talking about his favorite movie. And then I was like, as a matter of fact, it seems like every horror movie we watch, or a good majority of them nowadays, are like, Texas Chainsaw is the best. And so it's really not that, like, rare to see it pop up. There is, in that Chucky remake movie from, like, 2019, they watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in that one, which you never see that one popping up, really. So, that one changed up the game a little bit. But, as they're at school, the little sister who I wrote down, what's her name? I don't have it written down yet.
I'm supposed to remember main characters?
Yeah, you remember all these guys who were on screen twice.
I don't know. It's coming to me. I don't remember.
God damn it. Anyway, she's pulled into the principal's office, and a couple of FBI agents, or maybe they're just cops, but they're here to ask her a couple questions because apparently, at first I thought that she was talking to Bruce's sister, but it turns out she was talking to Billy's sister. Which, one of my other problems with this movie is they just bring up other kids that went missing that you never fucking heard of until they were in, until that kid's in the room. Like, I don't know, but she's talking to Billy's sister and telling her how she had a dream about, Billy was taken and there was 2 black balloons left behind and all this shit. And the reason they're interrogating her is because there were black balloons left behind at the scene of the abduction. In fact, every abduction that's taken place, black balloons have been left behind. So they want to know how the fuck she knows that and what, how she figured all that out. And weirdly enough, it seems like they start accusing her of maybe being involved in these kidnappings. And so she, like, snaps on them. And she's like, "You fucking morons, I don't have anything to, do with this or whatever. I just dreamed it and shit." And eventually she, like, calms down and they're like, "Well, how did you dream it or whatever?" And she's like, "I don't know, but sometimes my dreams are true, And so that's your first, like, ooh, she's got dream powers. Yeah. This is a part that maybe you could help me out on it because Finn comes home and the dad's passed out in the living room drunk. And then the kid, like, opens up the freezer and it makes sure that it focuses on, like, a baggie that's in the freezer. Was that supposed to be a bag of Coke?
Not me now. There's no reason to keep it in the freezer. I don't know what that bag was.
It focused on that bag for a while. And then it never comes back. But I was like, is that supposed to be like a bag of Coke that he's just keeping in the freezer? But anyway. But yeah, none of this matters. He goes in his room, watches like an old horror movie. and has to do like some cringy overacting to the scary movie of like this person sticking their arm up out of blood, where he's like and trying not to scream because his dad's asleep and shit. Even though it looks like his dad like looks over at him at one point, and I thought he was awake, but I guess he wasn't. The next morning, Finn wakes up and his sister's just getting her ass beat in the kitchen, because the cops showed up to his work and embarrassed him in front of his coworkers. And so he's, smacking, or he's like whipping her with a belt, saying, what do you know about the investigation and all this shit? She like gets out of his and she's like crying and shit, and she picks up like a vodka bottle, and she's like, if you come near me again, I'm gonna drop it. And he's like, you better not drop it. And he like comes near her, and she drops the vodka bottle again. So he's like, now he's angry because he's an alcoholic and his vodka just got broken. And so he grabs her and he's yelling at her, and he starts telling her that she's not like her mother. She doesn't see things that aren't there, and she doesn't have dreams that aren't real, and all this shit. And he's like, tell me that you don't see things that aren't there. And she's like, I don't see things that aren't there. And he's like, all right, good. And so he like makes her leave. And so that's your little, there's something inherited coming down. That's going to be interesting to dive into later.
Runs in the blood,
Yeah.
You overshadowed the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
When the dad's like, God damn it, that's an $8 bottle of vodka.
Yeah. Yeah. That's expensive, dude.
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
After that, we get a scene of Robin walking home, I guess, and we see the black van parked, and we get a slow-mo shot of the driver in the black van getting out, and he's like all sort of blurry. That's not focused on him, but he's wearing like a whole, he's got like black robes on and this top hat and all this shit, and he goes walking towards Robin. And at first I thought like something was up with Robin, because Robin never looks like he's scared or even starts to turn around. He just keeps walking towards the guy. And I was like, oh, maybe they know each other or something. But I think maybe that was just Robin being like, I'm a badass. I don't have to worry about it. But
yeah, it made you think they were in cahoots or whatever, right? Because at this point you know nothing about Robin. So
yeah,
you're like, maybe it's his dad or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay.
But no, because that night, fucking Private Upham gets a phone call, and he has to tell his son that his friend is now kidnapped as well. That night, the little sister goes and she prays to Jesus for the first time and asks Jesus to give her dreams to help her find where Robin is, and help her find.
Well, Finn asks her to.
Finn does ask, yeah. He's like,
can you? Yeah. Do that thing, and she's like, I can't do it like that. Yeah. And he's like, just do it or try.
What's the Watchmen? The fucking do that thing you do. Anyway, shout out to that lady. So not only is Finn asking her to help him out, but even like the next day, the cops come to her house and ask. Even they're coming and being like, hey, got any dreams you could tell us about, And you can tell the dad doesn't want anything to do with this. But he, lets them in, and they talk to the little girl. At school, we see Finn getting chased down by those bullies now because Robin's not there to protect him. And they jump on him, and straight up, I mean, this dude has to have like his little sister fight for him. And she comes in with a stone and hits one dude in the head, and he just starts like leaking, just like blood.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, they did.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like she killed him, and it was gonna be a whole thing, but apparently not. She gets tackled down and kicked in the face at one point, and she goes and like sits down next to the kid who's like leaking blood. Yeah, so this kid's getting bullied.
And the shit kicked out of him too.
He is. At class the next day, they're having, a science project, and they need partners. And you see everyone teaming up with their friends, and Finn doesn't have anybody. But then that girl he has a crush on comes, and it's like, oh, hey, I'll be your partner. And he's like, okay, you know.
I
So,
think it's the same day.
yeah, because his face is all bruised up, and she's like, those
Yeah.
guys are assholes, you know. Um,
And then he gets grabbed up.
he
that
does,
same day.
yeah. He had a lot
I was
of
like,
stuff.
what a bad day.
Yeah, it went from bad to like, hey, the girl I like sitting next to me, to like, now you're getting raped. So,
Jesus.
so, so yeah, so school gets out. The little sister's like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friend. I think she might be like, do you want to come? And he's like, no, I'm just gonna go home or whatever. So he goes walking home, and on his walk, he bumps into this guy. And as he bumps into him, we see the black van right there, and it ends up being Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke's here. He's got his tap. He's got a top hat, the sunglasses. His skin looks real pale.
Yeah, like he has paint on or something.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
And he, you know, he's like, oh, I dropped my eggs and all this stuff. And then Finn's helping pick up stuff, and then the dude's like, I'm a magician. You want to see a magic trick, you know? And Finn's like, yeah, you know. And then as the dude is starting to do like a magic trick, Finn looks in the back of the van, and he's like, are those black balloons? And the guy's like, yeah, they are. Yeah, rape juice, and like puts.
He sprays something in his mouth, and I still don't know what it is.
I don't either. Whatever it is, it makes him pass out, and he forces a fucking dude into the van, and kidnapping successful. That kid is kidnapped. Oh, also he has like a fucking toy rocket or something.
I think it's like Apollo 11.
Yeah, but then doesn't he use the same one as a flashlight later?
Yeah, there's a light in the bottom, so when you hit the button, it looks like it's blasting off.
Ah, okay. Yeah, he used that to
cool.
like stab into Ethan Hawke's arm and shit. So, what's this? Oh, okay. So yeah, so he wakes up, and he's in this like basement dungeon that we'll be spending the majority of the movie in from here on out. And Ethan Hawke is here, and he's wearing this mask that will change a lot over, or not really change, but he'll just like add different pieces to it. The first mask is just like a devil mask and just like a plain face. There's nothing. There's no like facial features. And he's like, hey, you know, sorry I had to, you know, hurt you, and I may have threatened to break your neck, but I was just angry. You stabbed me in the arm and all this shit. And he's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. Don't you worry, you know. And he's like, just petting Finn's face and shit. Like Tyler said, giving off some strange vibes here. Yeah, and so he's like, yeah, you'll be fine down here. All right, I'm gonna go upstairs now, and he fucking leaves. He left the kid with the rocket, which I thought was weird. You would think he would want to take away the thing that the kid used to like slice him in the arm, but he doesn't. As he's down here, the kid's walking around, and he finds a black phone, just on one of the walls, and he takes it and he like tries to call someone, but the cord's been cut, and so he's like, fuck, and so he just like puts the phone back up. We cut over to the sister who's at her friend's house when her dad calls and asks if she's seen Finn, and she's like, no, I haven't seen him since we got out of school. And then you know, we assume that the dad's like, well, he's not home either, and the girl can just tell that like the kid's been kidnapped. And then there's some weird editing choices where she goes running out of the house, but it goes like slow-mo, and then the way they shoot it looks like she's like running backwards into the house, because the house is like getting closer to her. Like, I don't know, it looked really strange. I don't know what they were going for there. Yeah, so yeah, cops are looking for him. You know, the kid's missing, the grabber got another one. That night, the girl is crying, praying to Jesus again. And as she's praying, we hear a phone ring, and she looks up like she hears it too. But then we cut over to the basement where the kid's laying, and the black phone had rang. But it only rings once, and Finn gets up and goes over to answer it, but no one's there. And then he still is like holding it, and then Ethan Hawke is like, phone doesn't work anymore, you know? Yeah, so the kid is like, you're the guy who's been taking everybody and shit. And this is another thing where a part of Ethan Hawke's character I don't think they go into enough is because he's like, you're the guy who's taken all the kids. And Ethan Hawke's like, no, that's somebody else. I won't hurt you, you know? And so it's like he's got some like schizophrenia going on or something where he's got like multiple personalities or something.
The one with the horns is the bad guy. The one without the horns isn't.
Yeah.
But there's more. There's so much more to this whole thing that they don't explain, and it just makes the movie shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, the first... Well, we're kind of there, but, you know, the phone rings and he answers it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he hears it too.
Yeah.
But he never answers. And it's like... So do they all have this psychic ability? Like what?
I don't know. Does this kid even have psychic abilities, or is this just like a possessed phone? Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Ethan Hawke's like, that's someone else. I'm not gonna hurt you. He has a different mask now. He's added a new bottom face where it's like a smiley face and shit. This is when he also says the line where it was in all the trailers, where he's like, I was down here once while that thing rang too. He thinks it's like electrical currents that makes it ring sometimes. And he's like, creepiest damn thing. And that was in all the trailers. That's the only reason I mentioned it there. As he's going to leave, he's like, you know, you can scream all you want down here, but I soundproof this thing myself. You know, no one's going to be able to hear you. When he leaves, we get proof of that because the kid starts screaming, and we pan to outside of the house, and it's just silent. You can see him like screaming, but you can't hear shit, you know? The phone rings again that night, but this time it rings, you know, it keeps ringing. And so he goes to answer it, but no one says anything. But right as he goes to like hang it up, you can hear like like someone rustling, and he's like, hello? But still no one says anything. So he hangs up again. He goes to sleep. When he wakes up, Ethan Hawke is sitting down there again. He tells Ethan Hawke that he needs some food, but Ethan Hawke is like, well, I can't bring you food because apparently he has someone up there with him that if he brought food down here, it would like give away that, you know, he's got something going on. And so the kid's like, well, if you're not going to bring me food, why the fuck did you even come down here? And Ethan Hawke's like, I just wanted to look at you. And the kid's like, oh, okay, you know. Also, as he says that, he's like, I just wanted to come down here and look at you. He's wearing another version of the mask where the top is gone, and so you can see his eyes, and he's got like and his eyes start to like tear up, like he's about to cry as he's talking to this kid. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? The phone rings again.
Wait, you'll never know.
Yeah, I was.
This whole movie
I was keeping
like,
them in suspense.
you just keep like. So maybe it's because I watch a bunch of serial killer stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they want to punish this one for like their bad childhood, or it's a sex thing, or there's all these things, the reason why people kidnap kids and do weird shit, right?
Yeah.
None of them apply here.
No. Yeah, there's no like. I don't know. I kept waiting for like there's a higher power that's making him do it, or there's some I don't know.
Keep in mind, folks, this is 60 minutes into the movie now.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
like easy 60 minutes in.
Yeah,
but
the phone rings again. He answers it, and this time there's like static on the end, like he can hear static. And he says hello a couple times, but no one's hearing anything. And then finally we hear a voice that goes, Finney, and he's like, oh shit! So he hangs up. But the phone immediately calls back, and so he just goes and like hangs up again. And this time the phone calls, but it's no like. This time it's just like just rings
long nonstop.
yeah. So he answers it again, and the person's like, "Don't hang up." And he's like, "Who is this?" And the kid's like, "I don't remember my name. Your name is the first thing you forget when you get here." And the kid's like, "Where?" And the kid's like, "Here." And then he's like, "Well, who are you?" And he's like, "We met a long time ago. Your arm is mint." And so the kid's like, Bruce Yamashoto, or whatever the fuck your name is. And the kid's like, "Bruce, yeah, that was my name." And so he's talking to Bruce from the beginning, who apparently has been killed. He died down here. And now he lives in fucking somewhere where he's able to speak on this ghost phone thing. He tells Finn that there's this little, or no, that he was digging a tunnel under this loose tile to try to get to the other side of the wall, but he couldn't finish it. So he's like, "You need to go over there and try to get out." And so the kid's like, "All right, cool," and he hangs up. And then he go. Oh, and as he hangs up, we get some sad footage of like him growing up and learning to play baseball with his family and all this shit. And then we see him getting pulled into the van, and it turns out it's all in the little sister's dream, and she saw like the dude standing there with the black balloons and shit. So, was that the same dream that the kid's like on the door trying to get out at the end, or is that a different dream?
That never happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she and sees Finn trying to barge out of a door, and so she goes like riding around trying to find doors that look just like that, but she can't. So the kid goes over to this tunnel, and this shit's maybe this kid dug like a foot before he like got killed or whatever. And so Finn's trying to dig this with bare hands and flush the dirt down this toilet that's down here. And it's like the second that kid gets to any type of rock, like it's game over. Like there's nothing you can do. But he keeps on digging. And we get a scene of a school assembly where the kids, I assume, are told for the first time that Finn has been kidnapped, because they all like look up to the little sister, and you see like the girl that he had the crush on like being sad and shit. The next morning, Ethan Hawke comes in to give the kids some breakfast, and when he leaves the door unlocked. He doesn't lock the lock as he goes out, and so the kid's about to try to sneak up there, but then the phone rings again, and he answers it. And it's a kid named Billy, who we've never heard of until this moment.
I think you might have seen him once at like the opening montage or whatever.
Maybe. But yeah, he apparently was a paper boy. He's like, "Don't call me Billy, I'm paper boy," you know? And he got kidnapped by the guy once again. This time they add an extra element where as he's talking to Billy, it pans over and we see dead Billy standing there. And I do say I like the effect that he's talking to him, like as he's standing there, but it's still coming through the phone. So it's like the staticky phone voice coming out of, the mouth. It looks, I like that effect.
I interrupt you for a minute.
Okay.
Did you know that Saving Private Ryan came out on this day in 1998?
I did not. Is it on this day?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Shout out to the best movie of all time. Came out July 24th. Why would it come out July 24th? Why not like the 4th of July, if anything?
Nazis had to be killed.
They
had to push it back.
My favorite thing about that is them like, we got this cool movie, let's invite all these World War II vets to watch the movie, and then the second the D-Day thing started, they're like, ah!
Just stabbing people with fucking popcorn trays and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god.
So Billy is talking. We see him. He's dead. This was the first time that I wrote down. Was it just me, Tyler, or did Finn remind you of Corey Feldman? Like his looks, he looked like Corey Feldman when Corey Feldman was this age.
So let's say Corey Feldman mixed with I think his name's Finn in real life.
Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah, from Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
maybe, but he just reminded me of. I will say though, he's a kid, so I'm not gonna knock him too bad. But acting wise, Corey Feldman at this age blew this kid out of the water. Like,
how dare you?
I don't know. This kid's acting was pretty iffy. I thought the little sister's acting was pretty fucking good, especially that scene where her and the dad are having the screaming match. But this kid,
I don't know. I thought she acted like she was way older than she really was.
Well, that's what all these movies nowadays, they have little girls who act like they're like in their 30s. That's just the trend nowadays.
But I don't know. I actually like the kid actor. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
And I think you're combining all Corey Feldman's roles into one image in your head. Just name one movie that Corey Feldman was a good actor in.
Stand By Me.
He had an all-star cast of people with him.
Well, that doesn't make him bad.
Yeah, but it makes him better, right?
I'll kill you, you motherfucker. You talking about my fucking dad.
Yeah, like what?
Friday the 13th, part 4.
But now you're picking and choosing, and you're combining it in your mind. This kid, maybe his first movie. I don't know his name.
I think he was in like 2 other things, but they didn't seem to have. Like,
this dude kills it. He's probably the best actor in the whole movie.
Oh no, man!
And that's crazy because this movie has Ethan Hawke in it.
I mean, Ethan Hawke was fine, but the character's nothing. Like, there's only so much he could have done with just like, oh, I'm up the stairs. Like his high falsetto. Yeah.
Well, it's also, I'm pretty sure this is a short story turned into a movie, and they probably just didn't have enough. I'm looking it up, but you keep talking.
Okay. Anyway, Billy tells him it's a trap. Don't go upstairs. He's waiting up there with a belt. He'll fuck you up. And then we get a shot of Ethan Hawke, like in the kitchen, shirtless with a belt. He's like rolling his head around and shit. But anyway, also he has my favorite mask, which is the frowny face mask. That was my favorite version of the mask. He's wearing that as well. Fucking that Billy kid calls back again, like later on, and tells Finn that there's a cable in the wall that leads to somewhere. He can pull it out, and he was going to use it to climb up to where the window is. There's a little like window, up there, and he was gonna. There's window, and then there's bars, and he was gonna try to loop it, and climb up to the window, and get out. As he's saying this, every time that Ethan Hawke brings this kid food down, he keeps bringing him these Perrier. Is that how you pronounce that water? He keeps bringing him like these Perrier bottles, the glass water.
You're so dumb.
What is it?
It's Sprite. It's Sprite, but it's an older bottle because they didn't have.
No, it's Perrier.
It 100% says citrus soda on it.
Citrus water, maybe. So either way, these green bottles. He keeps bringing them down, and so the bottle like spins because a ghost is there and points to the window and all this shit. So the kid gets this cable and he's trying to throw it to loop it around the bar, but he can't do it. And then maybe the most bullshit part of this movie, he goes over and there's these random carpets. Well, maybe not random. I think I know what they're used for. But there's these carpets that are rolled up in the corner, and he goes and gets this one carpet and leans it against the wall and feeds this cable up through the carpet, and it goes perfectly like through the thing. And it was like, first off, you're not feeding that cable that perfectly up this, this incline thing. Like, it is bullshit. As people who worked in a store and had to feed a bale wire through just a little thing, I'm not buying that you're feeding. But anyway, yeah, I'll get to what I think those carpets were used for later.
Hey, you remember the movie Horns?
I do.
Yeah, that was a Joe Hill.
Oh, was that the Joe Hill one too?
It's a Joe Hill movie or book.
Look at that.
So sorry, I'm trying to research how many
Man,
pages this is, and it's telling me all this shit that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, he loops around the bars, uh, and he tries to climb up there, but he's like right about to unscrew the window, but then the bars break and he falls back down. The sister has another dream. This time she sees the outside of the house that she thinks the brother is in, and she even sees the guy standing there and shit. So now she's got a house that she has to see. She also in the dream sees she sees Billy the paperboy get taken, and I just like it because this kid gets nabbed on his paper route, and his golden retriever's just sitting there like wagging his tail, like not a care in the world as his master just got fucking taken. The little girl that night asks her dad if she can ask him a question without him getting mad, and so he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so she asks what the deal is with her dreams, and he tells her that her mom was the same way, but she kept seeing stuff and hearing stuff that wasn't there, and eventually that stuff started telling her to do bad stuff, and so basically like the mom killed herself from the sounds of it to get away from whatever this thing was that was telling her to do stuff.
yeah, it was so like I'm so confused at this, right?
Yeah.
Because the mom had the same visions and she would see things that weren't there, blah blah blah. Right? And you're like, okay, cool. But then she kills herself.
Yeah.
Right? But somehow in this little girl's mind, she thinks it's Jesus.
Yeah, she is.
And she prays to Jesus constantly, to help and blah blah.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, hold on a minute, little girl. Your mom literally killed herself to get away from this.
Yeah.
So your mom killed herself to get away from Jesus?
To get closer to Jesus.
I mean, maybe. I mean, he came back 3 days later. Why wouldn't,
Yeah.
her?
She wanted some of that holy dick.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't know. The mom killed herself. And then, like, the guy's like, I don't want you to end up like that. But then the girl's like, I love mom just the way she was. And it's like, well, it sounds like your mom was going crazy. Like...
Well, I mean, she killed herself. She literally went crazy.
Yeah.
Not going. She was.
Yeah, I don't know. So the dude's like, yeah, he's like, I don't want you ending up like that. That's why I don't want you focusing on these dreams and shit. But she's like, well, what if they help me find Benny? Or not Benny, Finney. And the guy's like, I don't know. So then we cut over to those cops from earlier, and they go and knock on this door. And when it opens up, it's Deputy so-and-so from Sinister who's here. And apparently, why did they even go to talk to this guy? Did he call them?
No, they were canvassing the area, just checking houses.
Okay.
Doing a routine sweep.
Yeah. It turns out, though, that this dude is super into finding out who the killer is. He's got maps and like pinpoints of where people were taken and all this shit. And so he invites them in and starts going on this whole spiel, and basically seems to like, the cops are like, all right, this guy's fucking crazy or whatever. So they're just like, all right, see you later. And they just bail on him. And so then Deputy so-and-so is like, oh, and then he does like a line of cocaine that it was like, was that sitting there the whole time the cops were in there? Like,
yeah, that's what he pointed at. He's like, you might want to clean this up.
Oh, okay.
As he was walking out, and he was pointing to the below.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah. Oh, no, bad guy.
And so, they leave. And that'll be the last time we see that character for a long time. I'm sorry. As he does the cocaine, though, it pans down under, and we see that he's living right on top of where the kid is in the basement. So you're like, oh, what's going on here? It'll turn out that this guy is brothers with Ethan Hawke's character. And so when Ethan Hawke had like people over, that was who he had over, is like the brother. So they live in the same house, I assume. Yeah. So that night, Ethan Hawke comes down and tells the kid that, seems like nothing's going right anymore and shit. And the kid's like, well, you could let me go. And Ethan Hawke's like, I'm thinking about it, And the kid's like, you gotta, I won't tell anyone, all this shit. And so the guy's like, well, I will, but tell me your name, And I'm not sure why this kid was so adamant about not telling this guy his name. But he doesn't want to, so he's like, my name is Mantis Toboggan, or whatever the fuck he called himself.
Calls himself Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor something. Yeah, but he lied.
Again, why do I know this?
I don't know. But you don't know the little sister's name.
I don't. Who's like probably, I would say, more of the main character than the main character.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So yeah, he lies about his name, and then he ends up being caught because the guy steps out of the dark, and he's got like the frowny mask on, and he throws the newspaper down, and it shows the kid being kidnapped, and his name is there, and he's like, I was just starting to like you. I was even gonna think about letting you go too, and he like leaves again. And yeah, he leaves the door unlocked once again. Kid gets another phone call. Or no, I'm sorry, he gets it late. After that, like, time goes by. Ethan Hawke's sitting in the kitchen, but he's fallen asleep. Then...
How, though? You see that guy? How is that asleep?
I don't know. Then that night, the kid's laying on the bed, and he keeps hearing some dripping sound, and I thought it was going to end up being, he was going to find, like, a crack in the wall. He was going to try busting through it. But as he's looking around, he finds a dead kid hanging upside down. And it turns out that blood we hear is blood dripping down onto the floor. Yeah, and the kid points at the phone and tells him to answer it. And so when the kid answers it, a girl is on the other side and tells him that there's not much time left because the dude hasn't been sleeping, and he thinks that his older brother upstairs is going to figure out everything. And so, yeah, apparently the reason the dude hasn't killed him already is because this kid refuses to play the game. The game is called Naughty Boy. And if he refuses to play the game, then the guy can't win. The weird thing, though, is it seems like even though she's like, if you don't play the game, he can't win, then it immediately seems like she's like, you need to play the game. Yeah. It's like, well, what? She tells him that the guy's asleep upstairs. And for some reason, the guy has decided to use a combination lock that he stole from this dead girl to put on his door. And so the dead girl tells Finn that she carved the combination into the wall with a bottle cap. So he finds it, and the combination is 23317. But he asked the girl, well, hey, is it 23317? Is it 23317? Is it? And she's like, I don't know. You're just going to have to try them all. So the kid sneaks upstairs. He messes with the lock. And eventually, he ends up getting it open. But as soon as he gets it open, this dog that they have starts barking. And it wakes up Ethan Hawke just in time to see the kid go running out into the street. The kid goes running down the sidewalk. He's yelling, trying to wake everybody up. Ethan Hawke gets in the van, cuts him off, jumps on him, and like tackles him to the What?
Has some crazy name. The dog's name's like, I don't remember what it was, but I felt like it had a...
I was going to say, if you remember the fucking dog's name, too.
It was like Batista or like Samsonite or Samson.
Yeah.
Samson, I think, is the name of the dog.
Hey, kill.
But I was just like, what? What a weird name for...
Yeah.
I was looking for any clue that could show me more about, like, what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
I paid attention to all of the little stuff, and, like... It never... Yeah, no.
So, yeah, he tackles the kid. Some porch lights come on. So Ethan Hawke takes out a knife and puts it to the kid's throat. And he's like, if you say anything, I'll fucking kill you right here, you know? And so it's quiet for a while. No one ever comes outside, but eventually, like, the lights go off again. So then Ethan Hawke knocks out the kid, and we see Ethan Hawke, like, dropping the kid back on the bed. And as he's going upstairs, we hear the brother ask what the dog was barking at, and Ethan Hawke's like, nothing, go back to sleep. And his voice is completely different when he's talking to the brother. It's like a normal person voice. It's not this high, like, oh, what, it's just a normal dude's voice. So he has a completely different, personality, obviously, with the brother.
Well, just in general, right?
Yeah.
Like,
then we get a little, it's like a comedic relief scene, kind of, which didn't make me laugh, where the girl goes back to her praying station and she goes, Jesus, what the fuck? I've been trying to, get some answers out of you and shit. And she talks shit to Jesus for a while, and then she's like, you're not helping me out, but you gave me these, you gave me these dreams. And then she's like, well, maybe you didn't give me these dreams. Maybe you're not real at all. And I was like, there we go. We got another one in the corner, losing her religion. It's something. Did you think for a minute, Tyler, that she was going to go, maybe it's something else?
Yeah.
I did as well.
Maybe it's Satan or something.
Yeah.
Like I said.
But then she just went atheist. I was like, oh, okay.
I kept going like super deep into everything, and like none of it was, real.
Mm-hmm. So that night, a fucking another random kid you've never heard of calls him, and tells him that today is the day that he's gonna get killed. Turns out,
I really like this kid though.
Yeah, but I mean, this one was like just out of the blue. Like, never fucking heard of this kid.
No, you did. You did. He was the first one they took when the cops talked to her.
Uh-huh.
She goes, the first one who went missing was Billy blah blah blah, or I'm not sure his name was Billy.
No, Billy's paper.
But she was like, yeah, he was held back 2 years, and he would kick the shit out of both of you.
Oh, yeah.
And like she goes on and on about it.
I thought she was saying Robin was gonna kick the shit out of both of them.
No.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so he calls him, tells him the guy's gonna kill him. Then we get a scene where it's playing Fox on the Run, and the kid's in fucking... It's not an arcade, it's like a shop, but there's a pinball machine. So
listen, so back in the day when you went to gas stations, they would have games in them.
Yeah.
So it was just a gas station.
Shout out. So he's playing...
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was neat. Yeah.
He's playing pinball, he's killing it, but then these kids end up bumping into him. And so he's like, you fucked up my pinball game. And so he's like fighting them. He kicks the shit out of them. One of them pulls out a switchblade, but he immediately like takes it. And then as he's got the kid down, he like carves into his arm 7741. And once again, think about it, reminds me of It, where the kids, the bully carve Loser into what's the fat kid's name?
Maverick. so fast, right? Like,
that's good.
We're ready.
That's good. Anyway, yeah, they carved the Loser.
Isn't it Billy? Is it Billy the fat kid? I'm not sure.
Well, Bill is the main character in It.
Yeah, wasn't he the fat one, or was he the asthmatic one?
Bill was the stuttering one, the one that'd be an author.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Fuck, what was that kid's name? He was my favorite part of the thing.
It wasn't Eddie, was it?
No, Eddie was I think Eddie was the asthma one, and then Richie was the comedian. Stan was the one who kills himself in the bathtub. Beverly's the girl. We literally need one more.
One more, yeah, and I don't remember. I'm not a loser, so I didn't join the club.
All right.
People like, that guy's a jerk. I'm like, no, guys, that's what the thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
What is it? Where is he? You fuck. Ben Hanscom.
Oh, how did you not know that?
I don't know. I got a dog.
He's like laying on your bed right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So he carved 7741 into his arm. And then we see like the cops coming and arresting him, and as they're arresting him, we see like fucking Finn is there watching it happen, and then the sister comes around and gets in the car with fucking the kid, and it turns out that this is all in the sister's dream, and she's in the dream and can hear the phone call that he's having with the brother. Because when the guy stops, or when the guy first answers the phone, the kid on the other end is like, right here. And he's like, what? And it turns out that in this world, He's saying right here because they stop outside of the house. And we see that the house address is 7741.
The coolest part of the whole movie, because it's the same exact conversation Finn had with him.
Yeah.
But he's having it in the car with the sister, and it's making sense to where with Finn it really didn't.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was the coolest part of the movie.
It was cool.
Again, not scary at all, though.
No. So yeah, he says that, and then after that, he hangs up, and then he calls back. This happens a lot where these ghost kids hang up and then call back like the next scene and have like their little bit of information they tell him. So this kid calls back and tells him that there's an outlet or like across from the toilet that he can bust through, and the freezer or this freezer is on the other side, and he can unscrew this thing and get in through the back of this freezer that will come out into the storage room. And so as he's saying that, the dead kid's like behind him, talking. And so Finn is like, "Thank you for helping me." And then the kid's like, "This isn't about helping you, fuckhead," and like yells. And then he like just zooms back into the back of just goes away. And it like echoes off of the walls. And the kid's like, I don't know. That was a weird scene. I don't know what, yeah.
As a kid gets thrown against the wall, like everything's crazy.
Yeah. So he uses the toilet lid to bust through this wall, find this little fucking grate thing that uses these things to unscrew it, and he gets through to the other side of the freezer, but it's locked on the other side, and this is 1978, so there are no child things on the inside, so he can't get out, and so it's another dead end. He gets out, and he starts crying, and he's a little sad boy. And then he gets another phone call, and it's finally the one that I think everyone was waiting. You were like, all right, well, this kid's got to call eventually, too. It ends up being Robin who calls him. And he's like, "Hey, buddy, I've been here with you the whole time. I'm not leaving you behind and all this shit." And so all these kids have these elaborate escape plans. Robin is like, "Yeah, take the phone and go over there to that dirt and pack this phone with dirt and hit him in the head." And then you get like a scene where like Robin's teaching him how to fight. He's like, "Step back, step forward."
Like a dance scene or something. Yeah, it was
weird. Yeah, so Robin's like, "You're going to get out of here. You're going to live for us." And he's like, "This is the last phone call." Spoiler, it's not the last.
Stand up for yourself.
Yeah, it's not the last phone call. So he's preparing for the guy because it's time for him to die. So he starts setting up booby traps, turns into Home Alone. He's taking the cable. He's like wrapping the cable around this thing to like trip people, all this shit. Meanwhile, the sister is out riding around in her Georgie fucking rain slicker in the rain looking for the house. And eventually she looks up and all the dead kids are standing in front of her. So she like wipes out and she's like, "Ah." And she ends up looking up and it happened right in front of the 7741 house. So she goes running back to her house and gets the phone call gets the phone number from the police officers that they gave her, and she calls the police. This is when then they just throw in this Pink Floyd song, which I was like, all right, which I don't think I've ever heard this song used in a movie. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. Where they use On the Run. And so the whole time it just plays out like this montage of everyone trying to find the house, the kids setting up traps. And we finally see the older brother Max upstairs again. And he's just looking at the map, like starting to figure shit out. And the whole time it's just doing this. Just in the background. And, so I messaged Tyler, and I was like, 10 out of 10. They got a Floyd song in here. And so he's looking at the map, and he's starting to figure shit out. And then we cut down to fucking the kid, and it's at the end of the Floyd song. I was wondering if they were going to throw it in, because they throw in the part where the guy's in the background. He's like, he's like laughing and shit. It's like this. And the black phone is like breathing. It's like he's like on shrooms. The phone's like breathing. And then the door opens up behind him. And he's got his phone and he's about to fight him. And it opens up and it's the brother. And he's like, holy shit, I knew that dude was hiding something down here, you know? And so it's very obvious what's about to happen because the guy has the door to where you can only see, he's like this, you know? So you can't see anything over on the right. And he's like, oh, don't worry. He's at work or whatever. And then he's like, you want to know how I found you? And the kid's like, no. And so he kicks open the door, and then we see fucking Ethan Hawke coming down the stairs, and he plants an axe in the back of the dude's head and kills him. Once again, that's why I mentioned it reminded me a lot of the dude from The Shining, who the whole movie he's like, maybe I should go back and check on him. And then he shows up, and Jack Nicholson immediately just axes him in the fucking chest. Which is kind of fucked up because, like I said in the book, that dude lives the whole time. So he kills that guy. He's like, look at what you made me do. You know, I had to kill my own brother and all this shit. And now Ethan Hawke is wearing another half mask, but it's the first time you can see his mouth. He's just wearing like the top portion of it. So he's like, all right, I'm going to kill you now, you know? But he makes it really dumb because he's like, usually I would make this fast and use a knife, but I want you to feel this pain. So he brings the dog downstairs and you're like, oh shit, he's going to sick the dog on him. But then he ties the dog up and he ties him up by the door. So like if the kid tried to make a run for it, the dog could... But you would think he would leave the dog untied in case somehow things went wrong. I know he probably didn't think anything would, but... It ends up being that, you know, he ties up the dog, and the kid ducks under him and goes running into that hallway. And this was also stupid, because he trips him, right? But he trips, but he just stumbles forward. And so he steps into that dirt hole that the kid was digging, and the kids use the bars from the window to put down there. So the guy's ankle gets stuck in the bars, and it snaps and breaks his ankle. Now, here's the thing, Tyler. If that trip would have worked how it was supposed to and he fell down, that would have been useless. He wouldn't have stepped in that grate, you know what I mean? So it's like, that kid should have just let him come walking. Anyway. I know survival. Yeah, so that guy breaks his ankle. The dude punches him in the face a couple times with the phone. The cops meet up outside of 7741. And they go busting inside, but it turns out they have a Silence of the Lambs situation going on, and they're in the wrong house. Ethan Hawke, it starts to like strangle the kid, but then what is the kid? I thought he stabbed him in the eye with the spaceship, but apparently he just like stabs him like on the side of the head or something.
I don't think he stabs him at all. What are you talking about?
He's like getting strangled and he does something to make Ethan Hawke let go. And I don't remember what he did. I thought he stabbed him in the eye with that spaceship thing. But
I thought he put the phone to his ear.
Maybe. I don't know. Either way, he gets out of him. And then he takes the phone and the cord and fucking does a flip to wrap the cord around his neck. And so he's got him like this. And he's strangling him. And then he gets a phone call again, and he puts the phone up to his ear, and all the kids are like, fuck you, asshole, your day's come, you know? And then once again, Bruce is like, yeah, Finn's gonna kill you. His arm is mint. And the kid snaps Ethan Hawke's neck. Ethan Hawke is dead. Back over in the other house, the cops end up finding a basement, and they go down in it, and it turns out that this is where the guy was keeping all the murdered dead kids, where he would bury them. And we see the other grave plot already dug that Finn was supposed to be in. And which makes sense because every time you looked at that house, it was like, man, it looks like no one lives in this house. It's like, what the fuck is this place, you know? So yeah, it's just a bury home. So they all like go back outside. And then Finn, like, takes a frozen steak from the freezer and throws it to the dog to get him out of the way. And he goes upstairs and walks out. And the big twist is that this guy has a house right across the street from him where he buries his victim. So he kills him in this house and then takes him across the street and buries him down there because Finn comes up and everyone's over in that other house where all the cops are. I don't know if maybe you came to the same conclusion, Tyler, but I'm pretty sure that's what he used those rugs for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you said that. How long were you watching the door behind Finn?
Was there a door behind? Oh, like when he was unlocking the door, thinking there was gonna
Yeah,
be a
and
last.
then he slowly walks out, and it's just showing him standing in front of the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is finally going to be a good movie. Let the good guy lose, you know? Spoiler.
But he
did.
didn't. No. The sister sees him. She comes running over, gives him a hug, and then the cops come over and they're like, "Oh, hey, kid. Hey, what's going on?" So I was also one. I was like, "Where the fuck is the dad?" Like the dad. I guess the dad was at work. They call him, and he comes running in, and he like crouches down in front of his kids, and he's like, "Please forgive me for everything." But they don't say anything to him. And then I'm sure time has passed, but they make it seem like it's like the next day. This kid goes back to school, and he's walking through school, and everyone's like, "That's the guy who strangled the grabber," and shit. And they're like, "How did he do it?" You know? And so this dude's got this big grin on his face, and then he sits down next to his crush, and she's like, "Hey, Finny," and he's like, "Call me Finn," and that's how the movie ends.
And then it's, I imagine they do the CSI with,
yeah.
But
yeah.
no, they didn't.
And so it goes to show, if you're having confidence issues at school, just murder a man, and you will have all the fucking confidence you ever need in your life. But there you go. That's Black Phone. A lot of unanswered questions. Kind of anticlimactic movie. You know, that's how the cookie crumbles. This movie had a budget of $16 to $18 million, and so far it's made $121 million. So,
such a bad movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Why do you think this movie was bad? I'm just asking. Like, I know we kind of gave our reviews.
I was way more. I don't know. Well, first off, I was way more interested in the sister's character. Like, I wanted to know more about these powers. But like I was talking about, Stephen King has a knack for just having a knack. Is that
knack? Yeah, you said knack. But
this is
I'm just trying to correct
anime
you,
and animated all over. But where he'll have characters in his books that have these powers, and he will just never go in to further detail about them. And it'll always be like side characters where you're like, "Oh boy, I wonder what's going on there." And then he's like, "You don't get to know." So it seems like Joe Hill took after his daddy a little bit on that one. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't. I don't know. It didn't work for me. I will say, I think going into it, I knew I wasn't gonna be crazy about it because we just watched this movie that surprised us, and so now we were like coming off of like a high, and then you had this movie that had all these big fucking, you know, everyone's watching, everyone's talking about how good it was, and it was like, all right, well, you know, it's really gotta blow me out of the water, and it never did. The brother's character was pointless to me. Like I said, maybe the story, he's in it more.
The only difference between the book and this movie is they changed one word, and that was it.
Ooh, what was the word?
Instead of magician, it was clown.
You get it?
Yeah, and then her riding around in her little rain jacket and stuff. I'm like, there's a lot of similarities here.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm a part-time clown, and they were like, we got to change this.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm trying to see if I have any facts written down. It does not look like it. Yeah. Anyway, let's do best of worst of for the Black Phone. My best of is gonna be the scene with, which I think me and you might disagree on it, but the scene with the little girl and the dad when he whipped her and he's like, "You're not your mom, you don't see these things," and the little girl's fucking. I thought she was really good in that scene, and it added some like. It was the first line that was like, "Oh shit!" There's some some stuff going on where the mom had some powers and all this stuff, and so it was really good. And then they never followed up on it.
It's not a MacGuffin, because MacGuffin's like a plot device you use to move a story that just appears randomly when you need it.
Uh-huh.
This is just like an alibi, right? To where they're like, we're going to take the most important, crucial part of this whole movie and never fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it works in books because your mind will fill that in and stuff. But in movies, you're just like, what? Yeah. Like, there's no explanation.
Yeah, it is like, I feel like part of me, because we keep talking about how there was no explanation. And once again, I keep going back to this guy, you see Stephen King, and most of his books that I read that I enjoy, and like these movies that he's made, a lot of them don't have explanations for shit. Like Pet Sematary, it's like, oh, it's an Indian burial ground. Fucking The Shining, they're just like, oh, it's haunted. It's it kind of has he's like a fucking demon being,
cosmic being.
Yeah.
These are all explanations. These are all more explanations in this movie.
It is, yeah. India, yeah. Even if they were like, yeah, it's an Indian burial ground. It's like, oh, okay.
So I try to tie it in and be like, okay, maybe this kid was beaten in this basement, right? And that's why his brother's there, because it's the family home.
Uh-huh.
And then he bought the house across the street. So this kid was abused physically, mentally, maybe sexually in this basement.
Yeah.
And that's how he knows it's soundproof, because his dad made him soundproof it for when he was doing whatever to him. Dad, whoever, I don't know. But the brother's there, and he's completely normal.
Yeah. And I kept thinking, because at first he's talking about, like, the guy upstairs is going to find out. Yeah. And I was thinking there was going to be, like, the guy who's making him do this. Like, the guy who tormented him or something. But there's not. Also, the beginning of this movie, like I said, where I thought it was a flashback, I kind of thought that it was going to end up being that Ethan Hawke was the kid who was pitching. And when that kid's driving home all happy, I thought little Ethan Hawke was going to hop out and fucking murder him. I thought that was how the movie was going to start. But
there's something to do with about the masks too, because you have the happy mask, sad mask, devil mask, regular mask. Like, again, they don't. The story we needed to see, we didn't see. We saw the story of a kid locked in a basement for fucking 3 days.
Yeah.
And eat eggs with his hands. That's what we saw.
Hands, yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I'm sorry. I know you're talking about your best stuff, and I'm just shitting, but best stuff.
My worst stuff's going to be when that kid screamed "fuckhead," and he went flying off into the back. I was like, I don't know. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So there you go. I'll keep that simple. That was my worst stuff. I didn't like it. What's your best stuff, worst stuff, Tyler?
Okay, my worst stuff, and this is gonna be weird, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. He makes his Home Alone trap, and he fills a phone with dirt, and he has a little rocket ship, right?
Yeah.
But this dude gives him glass bottles that break against the wall, to where he could just grab a piece of glass and just stab the fuck out of him.
Uh-huh.
And there's all these things, like, he has the carpets, right? And he puts it up against the window.
Yeah.
And he puts the rope through it to get the grate off, right? And the grate comes off, but he falls, and it's like, oh, I can't reach the window. I'm a dummy. But it's like, yeah, literally 10 minutes ago, you put the carpet up there against the window, and it didn't look like that sharp of an angle. You could just walk up it or climb up it, right? Like,
climb up it, or he was already good enough jumping where he could, like, land on this. If he would just, like, stood on top of those, he probably could have just climbed up there
and gotten out, but hey, this is what it is, bullshit movie. But like I said, the whole movie was just kind of the shit, right? Like, I don't know. And then the weapon thing again with the phone. Just take the back off the toilet. How many times we've seen people hit people with the lid off of the toilet? Yeah,
no, you gotta pack the phone with dirt.
Yeah,
and then he didn't even end up killing the guy with that. He fucking broke his neck with a cord.
That was a beautiful dog, though. So.
Was a good-looking dog.
I was like, damn, that's a cool looking dog. It looked mean and evil.
It did.
I don't know what it was. It was like a quarter
I don't either.
hound or something.
I thought it was gonna because all these movies are like pit bull, but then it wasn't a pit bull. I was like, oh, it's a different dog.
So that was the shit part of the movie. I hate this so much. Like, I think the dad had a lot more to add.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think, like, it wasn't just the mom. It was, like, the two of them together, you know? And the whole family probably had some kind of weird thing. Because if you notice, the dad was weird as shit.
Yeah.
And you can kind of explain some of it, but, like, oh, he's drunk. But even when he wasn't drunk, it was like, what the hell's going on with this dude? He's a little weird. Like, he was a little schizophrenic or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why don't you, you know, his kid disappears and they literally don't show him until he's found after that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
also, can I say, I thought it was weird that the scene where he went missing, they show, like, the dad talking to the cops, and they gave the little girl, like, the blanket. But the blanket, I always think, is, like, supposed to be used for, like, when you're rescued. And so you can have the blanket. But she was just sitting there with the blanket. And I was like, well, nothing fucking happened to you. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe she was standing in the rain. I don't know.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, that was the worst part. The best part, though, like, I thought it was really cool. And I was stoked when they started adding, like, supernatural stuff. Because, like, finally, this movie's getting to be something.
Uh-huh.
Because we talk about this all the time. Not a single part of this movie is scary. Like, not even a little bit. Like, what was the scariest part of this movie?
Maybe the scariest...
The dead kid?
Yeah, scariest part of this movie was probably the first time the dead kid's standing behind them.
No, I'm talking about the one where he's bleeding out. And he's,
like, that one doesn't
from the
scare
ceiling.
me. No.
I'm just saying as far as gore, right? Like...
Yeah.
And, like, you know, it's... People go, oh, one of the best horror movies. Oh, this is better. Like, this isn't... What? This is scary. Maybe we're so desensitized. Maybe we watch too much of this shit.
I don't know. I mean, you say that, but keep in mind, The Fly scared me like 3 times. And that's The Fly, so...
Well, the scariest part of The Fly was your impersonation of Norm Macdonald, but... I did like when the bottle, like, pointed out, like, whatever, the first time.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, I felt like it just overran its... And the flashbacks and the girl's dreams and stuff, and... I was going to 100% think that, like, when he escapes and walks out the door, that he was just going to wake up and realize it was all a dream.
Yeah. This, once
and then
again...
maybe getting, like, cut up on, you know? That'd be great.
Once again, this reminded me of this dude directed Sinister and this. Or the dead kids and stuff. And there was, like, half of the movie of Sinister is Ethan Hawke walking around that house and it's dark with his flashlight. Seemed like half of this movie was this kid answering dead kid phone calls.
Yeah, it's the reason they call it the black phone, because you just watch a kid talk on a fucking phone.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's nothing. This reminded me of like a USA movie.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't good. Like I can't. There's no way that any person in their right mind thinks this is better than Dashcam. Like I can't even wrap my mind around it. Dashcam had jump scares, gore, profanity, sexual content, like you name it, it had everything. Like, and this had nothing. It was so...
I was just thinking about it. Is this one of those movies, did adults ever curse in this movie, or was it all the kids? Who were like, fuck.
I'm sure the dad did.
I don't
when
remember.
He was beating his kids. Because he was like, fuck, that was an $8 bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
Or God damn it, or whatever, but...
Whatever, yeah. I don't know, yeah. When I was like, oh yeah, people, I'm going to look up Dashcam, people are going to be like, oh yeah, this surprised me. But no, everyone's like, this is terrible. I was like, what?
So the best part of this movie is when the kid escapes and the guy chases him down and he's in a van.
Uh-huh.
Because Stephen King was hit by a van and almost killed.
Yeah, it's called.
So that's the only redeeming quality of this movie, is it reminded me of the time when Stephen King got hit by a van.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully, ideally, his son would take a different hobby.
Yeah.
This movie was... I'm not blaming him. I'm sure if you read this, it was great.
Yeah.
But let's just say the movie adaptation.
To be
Man,
fair,
they 3 years making this.
I mean, it seems like a lot of Stephen King adaptations are the same way, where they're kind of poopy.
No, The Shining is great. Pet Cemetery, the first one,
The
was
Shining's a
great.
snooze fest.
How dare you?
I said it. To be fair, I watched it when I was like 12. I need to watch it again, but
It's pretty slow.
Pet
Yeah, we need to get
Cemetery
together
is,
and slam drinks.
You know, funny enough, the movie that everyone shit on that was an adaptation of his that I didn't think was terrible, even though it didn't really follow anything of the book. But that Dark Tower movie, everyone was like, "This is the worst movie ever made," and I was like, "This honestly isn't that bad." Like, it didn't follow
the
anything.
movie next week already, or no?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, can we watch Cujo?
Oh fuck. No. I don't know.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Why'd you get so sad? You're like Cujo.
That Dark Tower series. I'm trying to remember how it happened. I think it might have been before or after. But either way, Stephen King like writes all the books, and they find out that he's like the creator or some shit, and like the character, they come through to the world somehow and talk to Stephen King, and they're like, you gotta keep writing the story so that we can keep going. But then like some evil people, he ends up writing it where like the evil people hit him with the van, and that to stop him from writing. That's what that book series got weird fast. They started throwing Harry Potter shit was in there, fucking Wizard of Oz. It was wild. But anyway. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to us talk about the Black Phone. Next week, doing another movie that Tyler's gonna hate. I don't know. I don't really know his thoughts on this one, but it feels like a movie he hates. We're gonna do a Papa Hades request. We're gonna watch Zombieland because Papa Hades wanted us to watch Zombieland. So we're gonna watch it. There you go. So yeah, we are not gonna watch Zombieland 2, however, because I don't want to fucking watch that movie again. All I remember is some guy we used to work with talking about, this is better than the first one. And I watched that movie and was like, man, fuck this movie. So anyway,
I would like to point out that I didn't mention elevated horror at all.
until just now.
But we're done now, so it's fine.
It counts, yeah. Or it doesn't count. All right. Well, hey, next week, Zombieland. Link to gaming and everything in the description. Tyler, got anything you want to add?
Trying to think. If the only thing I want to add, even though this is at the very end, I should have put it probably at the very beginning, and maybe super amazing editor will do that. If you like this movie and it's a reason that we don't see or understand, like maybe just tell us, because like I really don't understand the view they're coming from for this, and I think that happens more and more recently, right? Because like a lot of these new horror movies we watch and we're just like, oh, like I'm trying to think of the last one we watched that everyone loved that we were just like, what? Like,
I don't know. I have seen that a lot of people have started to come out and say that last Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie was good. And they're like, everyone was hating on it, but it's pretty good. And I'm like, guys, no.
That's what I'm like, I don't understand. Is it... I feel like people just want to be positive, and...
Yeah, you can't be negative about anything.
I'm negative about everything, but... It just, like I said, it confuses me. What was that one with the kid who was like texting, like electronic devices? It wasn't the Babadook. What was it?
Come Play.
Yeah, the Come Play one we watched, and it was like,
I don't think anyone liked that one though.
Yeah, but like after the pandemic, after COVID, right? You release any of these fucking movies, and they're like, yes, and they start clapping and standing up and shit. And I'm like, guys, it's just a bad movie. And then a good movie like Dashcam comes along, and people are like, this is shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, why is it shit? Is it the political views? Is
Yeah.
that's what you're mad about? Because I watched all of Texas Chainsaw with that woke lady, and I didn't hold that against the movie at all, right? Like I was like, okay,
Uh-huh.
crazy, like super left wing liberal stuff or super right wing shit. I don't let it bother me, but I'm the bad person because other people it does bother. I'm sorry. My ranting is going on and
Yeah.
on. We went about this on the last one too, to where super left wing, super white wing, don't let it influence what you watch. Like, why do you care if the lady's wearing a red hat or a vagina hat, right? I don't give a fuck. What? She's going to get the axe in the end anyway, so what does it matter?
Except for the red hat lady. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Um.
Anyways, Paddington Bear. Everyone go watch Paddington Bear.
Okay. Anyway. All right.
Watch
Well, thanks for. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know rudeness, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, next week, Zombieland. Oh yeah, no, real fast. Fucking, you watched that Halloween trailer, the new one?
No, not yet.
It's the same as every. Like, it literally looks like the trailer for the 2018 one. It's like Lori in a house, and she's like, "Come get me, Michael." And it's like, why the fuck did we need 3 movies? I get they were making a lot of money, but it was like, we needed 3 movies to tell this fucking. We could have just ended this in one, and everyone would have been like, "Oh, it's pretty good." But and then
The trailer for the new John Wick movie?
No, I don't. I didn't
Have you
watch
seen the trailer for the
one.
first or the second one or the third one? Did you see any of
Are
those
they all the
trailers?
same?
It's all the fucking same. It's John Wick fighting people. Like, are you ready? He's like, yeah. You know, in his weird
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. Or whatever, you know.
Uh-huh.
Fucking that dude is I keep waiting for him to fall off, and hopefully it's very soon.
Wow. But anyway, yeah. Halloween looked the same as all the other ones. And then that Chucky trailer came out, and I said we might go through the Child's Play series, and then at the end he was killing a nun. He was like, "I'm Chucky, want to pray?" And I was like, "Ah, you fuck."
I dig that.
It made me laugh, and I felt bad that I laughed at it. Like, it was so stupid. But
you're like, no, I'm becoming Tyler. No.
yeah. Anyway, next week, Zombieland. See you there.
Booyah.